Hi, everyone, and happy Memorial Day. I know many of you might be taking this Monday off to observe the holiday, and that's just fine. But as promised, I wanted to give you your Monday weekly video announcement and walk you through what you have due for week 2 of this week. So let's take a quick look at the week 2 overview. So this week, we're actually going to start diving into some leadership theories and actually getting into our Hartwick cases. This week, we're going to be reading about transformational leadership in the North House text, which is chapter 8. And then you're also going to be reading about Martin Luther King Jr. and Winston Churchill. The idea behind reading about these two classic leaders is to decide if you feel Martin Luther King Jr. and Winston Churchill are good examples of transformational leadership. Now, while reading the North House text, you might think they are in some situations and maybe they are in others. So the goal of this is for you to use critical thinking in analyzing these two historical figures. So when we click on the assignment tab, here's the overview of what you have due for this week. So this week we will start our very first discussion expert panel. And it looks like, according to the weekly sign up, we have Carly, Annie, Aubrey, and Jordan as our panelists for week 2. And it looks like we might have to do some juggling here because either not everybody signed up last week or a lot of people dropped. So I need to do a little bit of maintenance there. It looks like if you have not yet signed up to be a part of an expert panel, this was a requirement for you to sign up by Sunday. And so people need to be signing up or I'm going to have to assign groups for the rest of the semester. So Carly, Annie, Aubrey, and Jordan are going to be our experts for this week. So to give you an idea of what that looks like when you're the discussion leader, I actually posted assignment details right here. So discussion expert panel, you need to post your video in 2 separate places. The first place you're going to post your video is right here. This simply just takes you to the discussion prompt. And in the reply, the group will post their video here, just like I did this week. So you might just simply say discussion expert panel, week 2 video, and then post your YouTube link right here. And then all you have to do is hit post reply. And then that way all of the peers in class can go in, watch the video, listen to your 2 discussion questions, and then the discussion can begin. Now, the second place you need to post the video, if you're the expert panel, is here. So this actually leads you to the assignment instructions and details, which will walk you through it. So the expert panel consists of 4 to 6 students who are going to discuss the theme for the week alongside discovered leadership elements of the leaders as described within the cases. The video itself should be no longer than 20 minutes total because I want to maintain the interest of those of us watching it. And we know longer than 20 minutes, we kind of start to lose our focus and attention. So this means each student will provide about a 2 to 3, might be a little more than that, but summary of the North House text and the leader cases. I don't care how you decide to divide up your panel. You saw my example last week. I took the North House chapters and then my experts talked about the different leaders that they chose, but that's just what worked well for us. So you as a group need to decide how you want to divide up the responsibilities. I want you to think about a description of the leader and 3 to 5 defining factors or elements or evidence that demonstrate the way they led. So you want to explain transformational leadership this week, but then you also want to talk about MLK Jr. and Churchill and talk about factors, elements, and evidence that talks about how they led. Consider how you will summarize the leadership ideas that we observed within the case and provide evidence of specified perspective. So you might find evidence that says, yes, they are a transformational leader, and you might find evidence that says, well, according to this, we're not really sure they followed all the elements of transformational leadership. Your group is then responsible for asking 2 discussion questions. Remember, those discussion questions should be posed on the slides in the PowerPoint at the end of the overall discussion expert panel presentation. So an example, a simple example of a question this week could be, was Winston Churchill a transformational leader? I think you can probably go a little deeper than that and be a little bit more creative. If you look at the back of the cases, there are discussion questions. And we also can see in the back of the North House text, they provide cases with questions. And so maybe you can take a compilation of looking at the case discussion questions in the North House text and see if you can devise your own questions that would really probe for critical thinking. For 10 extra credit points, if your group is interested, you can go in on Monday and read the discussion that your peers had in regards to your questions. So after you do that, you may post your findings and provide follow-up feedback to me by Tuesday of the week. All you need to do is send me your findings and your follow-up feedback in an email and say, Kate, this is our extra credit. And then what I will do is post an announcement for the class that says, here's what our expert panel said to our discussion this week. And that way we just kind of keep a little bit review of the class going forward. And it's a nice wrap up. If you'd like to see the grading rubric, you simply need to click on this PDF document. And here is exactly how the group will be graded in earning those 50 points. So I'll let you take a look at that. And this will be posted every week. I'm just going through it this week since it's the first week. We have an expert panel actually doing the presentation. But again, this link will be posted in every week. Okay, so again, let's just review. On Wednesday, panelists, you need to post your link in the reply for your peers, and you need to post your link here in the assignment. This is a group assignment, so I'll put your group together, but I want you to post your grade here. Just one group member needs to be responsible for it. That way I can go into the grade book, pull up the link, and then actually put the grade in the grade book column. If you are not in the expert panel, then you need to provide an outline of understanding for week 2. This way, I know you are keeping up with the weekly reading and you're not just relying on the expert panelist video to give you the Cliff Notes version of everything you're supposed to read. I wanted to avoid you trying to skip out on the reading. So that's why you're doing an outline of understanding. It also will help you in prepping for your quiz that's due on Sunday. So if you're not a panelist, here is your note-taking guide. So you can see that I'm asking you to find transformational leadership. I'm asking you to define how charisma and transformational leadership are related. I'm asking you to outline the graph, the 7 factors of leadership, and to define the following terms from the model. And then I also have you do some application to the leadership cases. So in essence, you're doing something very similar to our expert panel, but this is your own thoughts, your own perspective. And then that way, when you get your discussion questions, maybe you can pull back from here. And again, it should help in completing that quiz as well. But this is just your note-taking guide. They might not be as structured as we progress through the week, but right now I'm giving you very structured note-taking guides. So by Wednesday at midnight, oh, I went back too far. All that's due is the panelist discussion presentation and then the outline of understanding if you're not in the panel. By Sunday, you need to complete your quiz over chapter 8 of the North House text. And then you need to reply to the expert panel. So if you're not in the expert panel, then you need to go in, watch it, listen for the discussion questions. And again, this link just takes you right to the discussion board. So you'll see their link right here in the reply, and then you just need to answer or respond to their discussion questions. And then the last thing you have is to give me some notes for your final project case. Remember, every week you're taking some notes for me and providing evidence that you're keeping up with your reading for the book that you're choosing to read for your leader. So I've given you some examples here. This week you're supposed to read just 1/5 of the book. Here are the document that you use to take your notes. Write notes during your reading to help you with your final project. I strongly suggest you use page citations that connects incidents or interactions within your book to lessons illustrated in the North House text. Now, while you're reading your book this week, maybe you don't find anything in regards to transformational leadership. That's fine. You might not always have an application to the theories that we're reading about. I challenge you to think critically to look for them, but if you can't, think back to week 1, tie back to the behavioral approach, or where we talk about skills versus traits, versus characteristics or process leadership. So we talked about that stuff in week 1. That doesn't mean we just forget it. It means maybe you apply it in reading your book this week. So if transformational doesn't fit, maybe the behavioral approach fits, or leadership traits or process leadership fits better in that situation. I've given you a brief example here using Ellen DeGeneres. She has a book. Some students have picked that in the past. So this is just an expert of an example of what I might see in your notes. So you're going to use this actual document as your note-taking guide. And these will look the same week to week. Literally, I want to know what pages you read. So you might write pages like 10 through 30. I mean, I don't care how much you read. It's really up to you to get the book read within the 8 weeks. And then again, write notes during your reading. Use page citations and incidents that can help you to the text. So a question to consider: what ways do you see that your leader interacted with others and requested action? And I don't care if your notes are in paragraph form or if you literally do bullets. These notes, again, you're getting graded on them, but the notes are really so you don't read the whole book within the last week of the class and then have to cram it all in for your final project. I want you to progressively be reading your book throughout, so you're not only looking at the historical figures that I've chosen in the Heartwork cases, but that you're also really critically thinking about the leader you chose for your overall final project. And so you'll simply save this document, if you will, to your desktop or wherever, and then you will submit this assignment as well. And I will update this and give you a place where you'll attach that Word document, and then that way I can go in and grade it. Okay, so that's an overview of what you have due for this week. Discussion experts, post your link in 2 places. If you're not in the expert panel, you need to post an outline of understanding. For next week, or by Sunday, you need to have quiz 2 completed. You need to respond to the expert panelists, and then also provide me with your case notes from the reading of your biography or autobiography. If you have any questions or concerns moving into week 2, please do not hesitate to reach out. I hope you all have a really nice Memorial Day weekend. Bye-bye.